10. Let me go in and check the tech side. Let some people get in here. Let's see. I can't find the post. Let's see here. It'll show up. Oh, there it is. All right. We already got 6 people in the house. Sound is good. Timothy Robert. Eboya Barris. 9 people in the house. We got a special show this afternoon. Monica Peterson's here. Marianne Savino. That was a great show. I look forward to doing another one with her. Lawrence Swindle is coming on a couple times next month, as I understand it. Kelly B. Sparkland. Harlan Orlando Burr. Mary Kavork. All right. New York City's in the house. 30 people and counting. Brendan R.B. Kathy Wildowski. These shows resonate. Please share. Thank you for continued love and support and contribution so we can keep this thing going. Pia Holland, Pat Graham, Candy Parle. Hadn't seen you in a while. How you doing? Parley. Shaz Saz, Sue Baxter Fitz, Andrea Lee Fisher. All right. So let's get started. We got an exciting show with someone who's been around quite a while from what I understand. I'm older than you, so don't worry about that. I didn't mean it that way.
Let's worry. Let's worry. No, let's not worry at all.
No. It's all relative. It's all relative anyway. So, welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, Aja Dematerra. I know about her. Morgan had told me that she'd seen some things that you've written and such. I can't really dig into everybody too much. There's just too much on the schedule to do it. But let me give you a little backdrop on our guest. These are her words. I never give up on what I know is truly beautiful and valuable, for I love it so much. I love it in others and in all things. I so appreciate this, being able to travel back and forth between visible and invisible realms. There is so much color, magic, and beauty in the invisible realms, and I love bringing it into the visible through my stories, my paintings, my poetry, my coaching, my life, and my being. I have discovered the more I do this, the more the two realms merge. This is who I am. She also hosts a free Facebook group called the Divine Feminine's Radiant Palace, and would love to have any creation goddesses join her there. Welcome to the show, Aja. Thank you for sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you, Todd.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Is it snowing over there in North Carolina?
No, it was winter maybe yesterday or the day before, and today it's spring again. Just go back and forth, back and forth.
So I know you've been active for a long time in what we might call the light worker circles. And you've been, and obviously you're multifaceted. Your multidimensionality is manifesting and has manifested in the physical with all the things you do. When did you first wake up?
Okay, so I watch your shows and I knew you were going to ask me that.
That's what everybody says.
So but I'm not really sure how to answer that, because what does it mean really to wake up? Like, I have this experience, and I have it on my about page on my website, where I was like, in my crib, and I feel like I woke up to something about the world and something about the universe. When did I wake up about the corruption in the world and the different truther kind of things? I can put a date on that. I mean,
yeah, I think, most of the people I've talked to have a pretty typical story, which is I was always awake, and then I went to sleep, and then I came back out. So I think probably, if I think about it, when I asked that question, I think there was a point where each one of us said, I'm not serving that anymore. I'm serving this, the one that's always been here, the one that nobody else knows about, the one that, I can be called crazy about, the one that I don't talk about, my own little world here, just me and the universe. And I know this is real, I don't know. And probably had something to do with, with the, early part of the 2000s, 9/11, and then 2012 came, and I guess the energies just kept picking up, and it eventually became inevitable for everybody. You seem like somebody who has been awake your entire life.
Okay, so I can put a time around that. It all was around my divorce and leaving my ex-husband and just the breakup of that. And I know that there was an actual moment in time when I felt I was suddenly surrounded by this tunnel, like this universe tunnel that was in which allowed me to make a choice that I had not been choosing, to step into it, back into my soul path. And then once I did that, I think part of it was just saying, okay, I'm going to be an artist. You know, I'm not going to think about the money part or how will I make a living or leave the safety, security of, you know, a marriage where he was working for a corporation and all sorts of, you know, living a very, living in a suburbs and just a very domestic. I was a domestic goddess. I really was.
Stepford wife.
I was never a Stepford wife, and that was why I drove my husband crazy. But I was definitely in that, you know, like that kind of house situation. I had 2 wonderful children. I homeschooled them. I was very devoted. I was really into being a mother. And I mean, I still love being a mother. So I think it was then. I think it was when I decided, that was like in 2008, I guess, to leave, to have the marriage, just, you know, break it up and face reality and have all sorts of problems because of that, devastating my children who are a complete shock. And, you know, him, it was just like, because he was however he was. And I mean, my actual physical safety was involved after a while. So it was a mental, it was kind of like from the outside, oh, it's kind of an easy choice, but it was really not an easy choice for me because I had not believed that creativity, just relying on my own soul's information, the visions I've been having since I was just really young, and actually had an incredible vision, which when I was pregnant with my second child, I have 2 children, second daughter, in which I was transported into this magical realm. And I don't know how long I was gone. I was meditating and I suddenly was just transported and I got this huge download. And I went on this journey and I feel like that, and that was in 1993 or something. But from that, ever since that point, when I had the vision in 1993, when I was pregnant and meditating and was transported to this other realm, if you look at my art and you see birds and you see all these radiant colors and, you know, listen to the stories, the bird who dreamed, that's from that original vision, which, you know, I stepped into actually thinking, oh, paint paintings, make a story, even when I was in my marriage. But like, I didn't trust it, or I didn't think I could just, like, I didn't fall in love with it. I was kind of secretly in love with it, but I didn't just say, I'm in love with it. I'm committing to this. I'm marrying this, and I'm not marrying you anymore, you know, kind of, you know, you fake world. I'm not married to you anymore. So I think that opened a door, and it took me a while to actually then say yes to it in a way that really changed my outer life.
Yeah.
The look of my outer life.
Would you say that you applied creativity to most or all the aspects of your life from that point on, or began to?
In 2008?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I began to, because I think it was a kind of realization that a waking up to, you know, like, what is love? You know, what is a relationship? Like, who am I? And I had been connected to the divine feminine and the goddess in some sort of way, and trying to fit that into the mundane and to this corporate structure with this, you know, this person that was absolutely like different, right? So it didn't work, and I couldn't really couldn't really express it, but the divine feminine, when I first started my journey, I remember I read Euronome, the myth of Euronome. It's a goddess who rises from the bottom of the sea, and it's an ancient Pelasgian myth. It's not talked about that much. I think Robert Graves discovered it, but she rises from the bottom of the sea and she creates the world through dance. And there was something about that myth that just grabbed me and reminded me. And so from that, I started to go deep into this, like go to the bottom of the sea. And I created this process, 7 Jewels creation streaming. And then I created my own myth, which is different than the original myth. But the whole idea that what she did is she rose from the bottom of the sea, and then through her creativity, she birthed the sun and the moon and the stars. And so I feel like that's my path, birthing everything through this divine feminine creativity force, everything, and aligning it with everything, aligning it with how the world is going to be. I mean, that's the new earth. It's not about anything of the old earth. It's so different. And one of the things that is now becoming apparent to me, which is really fascinating, is that these visions that I've been having, like I said, really for quite a while. And I mean, when I was younger, I would see colors in the air. Like I would never tell anybody. I was just like have different experiences that were really kind of odd, and but I wouldn't take them serious, and I certainly didn't tell anybody. But is that what I realized after a while, maybe the last 2 years, actually really the last couple of months, but I've been seeing the correlation without really seeing it. There is a total connection between the visions that I've been having, and then for the last, let's say, since 2010, my divorce, really making into art and these stories, and the magical land I told you I was transported into when I was pregnant. And I mean, really, it was surreal. I don't even know how long I was gone. And it's so real to me that is a real place, and it's connected to the new earth. And I think it's connected to some galactics, or it's like I have some sort of connection with Star Tree. It keeps coming through. There's some sort of connection that it's real, and I'm just being able to face it. And I have had some, it's some things that have happened and visions in which this is not just about making this into a story. This is like on some sort of level of the universe that's going to be more, we're going to know about more here. This is the new earth. If that makes sense.
Or maybe the one true timeline. I don't know. But now, when you had this happen in the early 90s, and of course with your work too, I mean, I haven't read your stuff, but I have a feeling it's very metaphoric and visual. You know how some people can write and it's visual. And of course with your paintings. So it's a lot of colors and vibrancy and that type of thing. And you just mentioned there was a galactic element to this too. So when did that started happening? I mean, was it the colors first, and then later on the galactic connection came through, or maybe angelic or divine essences, or did it all come at one time?
Okay, so first of all, when I had that, I will call it the Star Tree vision in 1993 when I was pregnant. I don't know why I have to say when I was pregnant, but maybe there was a connection with that, because it does seem odd that it's almost like I was pregnant and then actually my whole body of work was born out of this experience. So there's strange. But anyway, yeah, it's odd. And my daughter thinks I'm nuts if I explain all this to her. Absolutely crazy, but she's the one that was in me, and she's absolutely fantastic and so creative. But so anyway, when I came back from that experience, I had a new sense of the world with the colors. Like what I experienced is that it's not everything. And when you look at my art, and I mean, I do the best to transfer how I'm feeling, and I also try to share it in my stories, that things are not. The color is very, very important, and it's not like, oh, here's a thing and there's a thing and this is the ending of this. Things are so much more like molten lava, very fluid and very all merging with each other, kind of shapes and colors, and so that came first, the sense of color and the sense of shape and all these magical beings. And these birds, the first thing I met were these birds, and they took me on a journey. And so for these years, I've really like, they've been my guides. And, you know, when I was really lost and scared, like when I was divorcing, I would like talk to them, and I still do. And they would, you know, like Mother Bird was always with me and that kind of thing. But I didn't think, I didn't know about, let's just call it truth or material. I didn't know anything about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt they were, I don't know what I thought they were. They were my inner guides, you know, on the imagination realm, but they're not anything. They're not like a divine visitation in that way, that anything that we could actually then manifest in this reality.
Yeah.
So I first thought of it as that, in that way, if that's answering your question.
So, and now, I mean, do you feel like there are aspects of you within yourself, parts of you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I don't feel like I'm separate from it or anything. I don't feel like I'm channeling in that kind of, oh, I'm channeling. Yeah. And my whole focus is on embodying the goddess. I wouldn't want to just, you know, bring these things through and not have a part of it. That wouldn't be fun. Yeah. So I'm embodying it. But I recently, I have this lion being in my story that I'm actually going to be telling on the 28th of, you know, next week, this Thursday, right. I guess. It's called The Awakening of the River People in the Time of the Dawn Sun. And so this really was the thing that propelled me to feel, oh, this is real. So in this story, okay, there's inner earth people in this story, and there's this lion being. And so as I'm uncovering it, and actually, just because it might be interesting for people, after the what was it, the eclipse that happened, where we had to wear glasses and stuff, everybody, I had a huge shift after that. After that day, I absolutely changed the way I was doing my stories. I had written all these stories. Most of these stories that you will see, like on my website, I've written them all. I had to go back and rewrite all of them. From that point on, I was working with somebody even who was helping me edit and, you know, make them into, I thought I needed help. I thought, oh, I can't deal with all these visions. It's just too much for me. After that, I was like, no, I don't need this person. I mean, I really appreciate it, but I didn't need that anymore. And absolutely, like, I absolutely don't need help anymore. Ever since that moment, I can just write my visions. I can edit them, and I can have somebody maybe typos and stuff, but that really changed things. But going back to the awakening of the river people story, the inner earth people appeared there, and then this lion being. And I just see things, you know, I go into this kind of state and I see things, and it really, sometimes it can take me kind of a while, because it's really like I'm going back and forth, like I said in what you said in my intro. So, but I know if something's real or not. I mean, authentic, creatively authentic or not. I'm not just going to write it if it doesn't feel real. And so these inner earth people appeared, but I didn't take seriously they're really from the inner earth. They were just like part of my story. And then this lion being appeared. But then after I finished writing it, I woke up one morning, and I'm not thinking about the lion being, in my inner eyes, I could see he was in my house. he was here. It was remarkable. He was
Did you
here.
did you talk to him?
So I later that day, and I wasn't scared or anything because I'm used to these these weird things, this vision back and forth. I mean, I wasn't scared in any way, but I was like, oh, this is like amazing. So I sat down and I meditated, and he brought me to a place that's in the story. He brought me beside this flowing stream that's in the story, and then he brought me further. And I met, there was a spaceship type building, and I mean, I don't know if you want me to share what it was like, but it was a galactic experience, I guess. It was maybe the new Earth. I don't know. All I can tell you, all I can report is how things looked.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make up.
Yeah. So, which is what you're doing. You're taking these, what you're calling visions, and you're just basically putting them into an art form, be it a story or a painting or whatever the case may be. Now, you mentioned a couple of things. Now, let me ask you first, I think a broader question. I think that's important. We've discussed it some on this show. What does it mean when you say, from your perspective, what does it mean to embody the goddess or to embody, our aspects, our divinity?
Well, for me, it's feeling it in my body. It's seeing the colors in my body. It's very much dealing with color for me. And I totally know, like from my coaching, that not everybody sees color. I just always have. I used to see it in the air. I mean, it's funny because I used to see it outside myself, not inside myself. But now I can see it inside myself. So embodying the goddess, it's seeing the colors inside. It's feeling, it's letting go of the parts of me that don't love me or are feeling small or disempowered. It's being fully plugged into creating, like manifesting art, the poetry, the stories, being brave, being courageous, speaking up, using my true voice, being open to the visions, the information, I think also for me, there's a really strong connection with the earth, with Mother Earth. So it's the way I feel it, and this is just the way I feel it, is I'm like a representative of Mother Earth. Like she's not in human form, but like through me, she can be in human form. So sometimes like she tells me things, but like I'm her too. I'm not like, oh, I'm nothing, And so like I can listen to the earth. Like I have these Mother Earth Speaks poems. So being the goddess is being willing to say yes to my power, and yes to I will write this poem, and yes, I will, okay, I'm afraid, but I will see what that, I won't act from that, or I won't be afraid, or it's being the goddess. Does that, and using her voice, it's going to a new level of being where everything is in the higher frequency. Yeah, because the goddess, for me, that's just a word I use. Some people don't use that word, they use source, it doesn't matter what word you use. Goddess, to me, is like the untouched part. It's the divine. It's, we have so much, we talk about the wounded child and the lower frequencies, and always, healing them and stuff. But I love that she was never hurt. She was never hurt. And so she knows what to do with the pain. She knows what to do with the wounds.
Very cool. Yeah, good explanation. I like that with the colors, and then also that you embody what you know, but I don't want to say disembody what's not serving you, but I guess transform it in some way. Now, you mentioned, and I haven't read your material, but I find this story that you're telling very interesting. A couple of people made comments about Star Family coming in now in support. There's been more visitations, I guess. People either talking about it more openly, or there seems to be a greater presence of these aspects of ourselves. And then, of course, the history, which is intriguing, of Mother Earth. That so much, 90% of that, 95% of that, we haven't been told. We're all piecing together from the channeling, transmissions, downloads, and such. But you mentioned Inner Earth. Now, is this the first time you were having visions of the Inner Earth people? And if not, when did that start? And then whether or not, what kind of impression did that make on you?
Well, I think the Inner Earth started without me knowing it. This whole star tree vision that I had, it's about this bird who is inside this mountain in a cave and dreams, and there's this sacred pool. I mean, like I would, when I was healing myself after my marriage, ended, I would spend so much time bathing in this pool and being in this pool. It's such a fantastic, like these amazing waters, and I would. It's inside the earth though. Like everything, I feel like the healing is inside the earth. It's not out there floating in the sky or something. So for me, I'm not saying anybody else, but for me. And so I feel that was the first, like the signs, like some sort of connection with inner earth. There's so much, like there's a sun inside the earth. That's what I would feel through, not through knowing or hearing or listening to anybody. So,
right.
So that there was that. And then when I was doing when I was rewriting the river people story, the awakening of the river people in the time of the dawn sun, it is about the awakening of, to me, that story is partly about the awakening of us, like the light workers, us awakening. And we've like been wanting something to happen for so long. We've been carrying this dream, and I mean, like, I think it's finally like it is happening, right? So it's like we're giving birth. So, but they just appeared, like I was, in the story, and we were in the part of the forest, and Sulmira is there, and suddenly, like, these beings appeared, and then I would just listen to them, because that's what I've become used to doing in my art, in my creativity, listening. Like you use your listening in other ways, and you're so intuitive when you are having these conversations. I use my listening a lot with like these beings, and so they told me things, and I mean that's when I really started to feel, and they are from the earth, and they told me, oh, we are the jewel people. We come from the realms inside the jewel lands inside the earth, and the radiant realms. And it seems like from the story, they awoke a long time ago, and they came in the story. They came to help the river people who had not awoken were not birthing their dreams until now.
Yeah. So they woke a long time ago, and like a turtle stuck their head in the shell and waited for everything to go down before it was time to come, right? Now, was there, I'm just curious, because I find it very intriguing, and I've had some connection to that, I guess. So was there a tone of collaboration of now you're already saying that there was a message of assistance and support, but was there a tone of when I say collaboration, I mean like what you're doing, where there's more of interaction, producing a third energy, I guess, interaction between, say, a surface person and an inner earth person, or energies from one and the other, producing a product that's bigger than both.
Oh, totally. Like I guess I can just say what's in the story. I mean, the whole thing that at least came through in the story is that in the beginning, like they both came, the river people came, and everybody came. Everybody was brought, all the beings, the jeweled beings. You think all the light workers, or is this everybody? I don't know, but I'm just telling the story. The jeweled beings all come in one flow, and the river mother brings them all to this earth. And then when they get here, they see, and they knew that why they came was to dream the world's first dreams. And so this is not the world's first dreams like thousands of years ago. This is the new dreams. And so they came to dream the world's first dreams. And then when all the jewel beings are looking at the earth, some of them want to go this way and some of them want to go that way. Just because that's how we are, right? We all have different visions and feelings. And so they found that then they broke into groups. And so the river people were like in this group, and the inner, let's call it the jeweled people were in this group. So the river people, and the wonderful thing is that the river mother told them that whatever land you go to, you will be given full support. You won't have to like make a living or something. Because your only job will be to dream the world's first dreams. And so that was for everybody. But then she asked them, you will not be able to meet each other, jewel people, the jewel people or the inner earth people, and the river people, or let's say the surface light workers.
Right.
They will not be able to meet each other for a long time. So do you want to remember each other? Do you want to remember that you were once brothers and sisters? And so the jewel people, first the river people say, no, we don't want to remember our brothers and sisters because that would make us sad. And then the jewel people or the inner earth people say, we want to remember our brothers and sisters because if we forgot you, that would make us sad.
Wow.
And so that's how it goes, and so they remembered, and they would, they would watch us or whatever. They would watch the river people, but the river people didn't know that they were there.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, do you think, and I'm just curious, no right or wrong answer, right? Do you think that these travels, these connection or communication, do you think that there is a higher aspect of you involved in that community of people that you're speaking to, in this case, the inner earth people?
Yeah, I do. As much as these are all feelings and visions, and it feels like it. Yeah. And like when I would have these visions of, and like that really gave me so much sense of my soul, being close to my soul. I would be in this gathering of people. They were birds, and there was that's how I got my name, Demeter. There's one of them. I just know her name is Demeter, and it's not about the myth. I guess maybe it must be somewhere, but for me, her name was always Demeter. Now and then there's another one named Aja, the lady of the flowers, and all these other, these beings. We would always be meeting inside the earth, beside this pool. So I don't know. You could say, I'm the human that is here, living out this, doing this, like almost feels like weaving it closer and closer and closer and closer, like weaving this tapestry, like we're all doing, making it so that the dream or the visions that we have become reality. So, right. So I'm the one out here, like the representative of Mother Earth, just like you are, the energy force, right, in the human body. It feels like it.
Right. I like that. I like that analogy or description. Now, you mentioned in some of the stuff that I read on your site that you are a myth maker. First of all, are you, is part of what you do in energy healing? Are you a practitioner?
You mean like body healing or something?
Well, no, just working with people, whether you talk to them, use your hands, don't use your hands. Energy worker, life coach, that type of thing. I don't know what the proper term is.
Right. I call myself a divine feminine creativity coach.
Okay.
So it's just about allowing that space inside others to come forth.
Yeah.
I don't think of myself as fixing anything, or
Right.
that they even need to be healed. Really, it's just allowing our own magical realms to come forth, our own inner goddess, or I'm only working with women, but it would be the inner god, or whatever, however you divine masculine, whatever. We're all doing this, but for me, because it's been my past, so this is my gift, is that it's about creating something beautiful. And so I think when we're more fully manifesting the new earth, which we're doing with each breath, and we're doing with each action that we're doing right now, but I want to create like a really beautiful earth. And so I think everybody has so many beautiful dreams and things that, oh, if only I could, or these different things keep us from doing it. I think it's the act of creating itself that is the healer, or the shifter, whatever you want to say it. It's like just doing it, creating something beautiful, like getting madly in love with whatever it is. Like you're in love with Soulogy, right? You totally want to create this, right?
Right.
That's like getting trillions of dollars in the bank all at once. And you, like, no matter how much you tune into it, there's more that you want to create. So that is the power of creativity. And it just sweeps away a lot of the old crap, or it gives you the possibility that focus on this, fall in love with this, and just let go of the other. Just let go of it.
Yeah.
And not, well, I shouldn't say just let go of it. It's not sometimes so easy. But what I'm actually remembering is this was in another vision I had, which was so amazing. I was crossing this rainbow bridge. It was really so amazing. And this polar bear guide I was crossing with him. And I was this little child. It was the most amazing vision I had, I don't know, 2012 maybe. And I was having this whole magical thing. We were walking to this mountain floating in above the ocean. Everything had been so magical. And suddenly I was like, as in my little child body, I was like, oh, but what if I can't get there? Like, that's the place I so totally want to get more than anything. I've been wanting to get there forever. And that's the place where I can create. That's the place where I can live freely, and everything I've been envisioning. And then I suddenly, like, it wasn't in my vision eye, it was in my human eye. I even saw the polar bear like clinging to the side of the mountain, and even he wouldn't be able to get across the bridge. Like in a split second, all these things happen. And he was like, he said, I think he took my hand, I don't know, I wrote it all down, but he took my hand, he said, let go of that, fall in love with this, just fall in love with this, let go of that. And then I was holding his hand, and then in order to step off the rainbow bridge onto this new earth mountain, or whatever it was, this floating magical realm that was completely like my place I wanted to go, I like grew, and I was like around 20, I'd say 21 years old. And then he and I just like freely and just with full ease stepped onto the mountain. Now the mountain, this is interesting. The mountain was this emerald light color, and it had that thing that my visions always have. It was like when we stepped onto it, it's this emerald light, and it was not like onto grass, onto the green mountain. It's everything's fluid. It's like waves, stepping onto waves that support us. And my body itself was buoyant, and everything is radiant. There's this radiance. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So, and on your webpage, you also use the term myth maker. And I can tell maybe this is kind of what you're talking about. What do you mean by when you say myth maker?
Well, like that vision I just told you, I've never made it into a myth. Like when the lion took me and I meditated the other day, I didn't make that into a myth. But I've made a lot of my visions, and there's kind of a difference. It feels like there's a difference, but I've made, because I'm a myth maker, I call it rising earth creation myths, like new myths for the new earth, or
Okay.
new creation myths for the rising earth, or so, and they're like, they're stories. Like that first story that I said when I got that download. I mean, this happened and that happened. It's a story. It's definitely a myth for, I just call them myths. I could call them stories too, I guess.
I almost want to call it, from what I'm picking up, it's like almost like a new story, new template, new blueprint, as opposed to original blueprint. Like, it's like taking all of that history and the world you're visiting and combining it with our experience here, and then the connection, and then producing something out of it. Maybe it goes back to that question I said earlier, if you felt like you were producing a third energy in tandem with the energies that you're interacting with.
Oh, that's such a good question, and so intuitive. So what I've come to see, like, yes, I do. I think I'm definitely doing that. So it's kind of like I'm working for them. And sometimes I'm like, give me a break, guys, you know?
I think we can all relate to that.
You're down here, like, and it's like,
Thank you.
They give us so many breaks, and they make sure we're always okay. Yeah. That's my feeling. So anyway, if I can just trust that. So yes, I do think I am, and it's kind of like I'm reporting, and these are the stories, like, they're not the past. I don't think they're the past, but there's a place where the new earth vibe and which is always just being created, and the ancient, like, completely pristine, original, I don't know, indigenous or something really pure, connect, feels to me. But yeah, I feel like I'm, like, I had a painting, and it was the emerging of the star tree. And the week that I sold it, I had the weirdest, not weird, cosmic experience. I sold that painting. This woman called me up out of the blue and said, "Oh, do you still have that painting?" And at the same week, I saw cosmic flashes. I called them cosmic flashes in the sky. I had like one in my kitchen. That one was yellowish orange. Then I had this green and this pink and blue one outside, like in the sky. And then when I was in the midst of selling this star tree painting, which was the emergence of the star tree, it was a really cosmic experience, just selling it, and the people involved. And then, like, when I came back from the seeing these flashes in the sky, I was like, okay, like, who are you? I just said quietly in my when I got back, and they said, we're the star tree people. And so then I understood. I mean, I started to begin to have there's a connection between my art, like, you're telling me stuff, or I'm remembering stuff, or am I living there too? I don't know.
Yeah. Most likely.
We're doing this together.
Yeah. Now, that's the first time I've ever heard the term star tree. Can you tell us what the star tree is?
Tell you what the star tree is?
Yeah. Is it like the tree of life, but cosmically speaking, or I don't know?
Well, the first experience that I had with the star tree is, I can just very, very briefly, but it's in my Bird Who Dreams story that's on my site, the first 3 chapters at least. And I will be telling all these stories. That's what I want to start doing, telling them all, like, in circles and stuff, on Zoom and locally, whatever. But this bird doesn't think she can sing. And so anyway, she goes high above in the sky, and then she goes into the circle. And then there's these 7 radiant beings, the 7 stars. And then they give her 7 seeds or 7 jewels. And so then the bird, and I think of this bird as the first bird, then she flies back. And I always say she because I'm about the divine feminine, but it could be a he, it doesn't matter. And anyway, I'm not going to say the whole story anyway, because then that would, there's even more to say about that. But anyway, so then she plants the seeds, or the jewels actually. A lot of my work, I have this kind of obsession. It's always about jewels, crystals, jewels. So anyway, she plants the jewels, and then from that, a tree. And she plants it in that place where I told you, that sacred pool in the heart of the mountain that I really love. Well, that's the star. The star tree is born from these 7 jewels, and then it rises out of this mountain, the core of this mountain, and then it bursts onto the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So that is the star tree for me. Yeah. I think maybe everybody is a star tree. I think everybody is a star tree. Every person's being. If you think we're trees, our bodies are like trees. I mean, if this resonates, I'm not really saying you're all star trees, but we're like trees and we're like stars at the same time, And so there's something very magical for me about the two together. And then there are these jewels on the tree, like the star tree has jewels. The star tree was given to the bird from the 7 stars, who are these radiant beings, all different colors, and they emit colored jeweled light. And I recently had another contact with, this was the most I really feel like, I am now having contact. And it was with and she said she's a jeweled light being. And it was like, wow. I mean, so, because my whole visions are always about this jeweled light. It's not just like white light or something. It's this colored light.
Right.
So is that the star tree? There's all these different colors. It's a rainbow tree.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned the 7. Do you think there's any connection there to Pleiades, the 7 sisters?
I think there is.
Yeah.
I think there is. Because I recently, just 2 days ago, I wouldn't have said there is, but definitely, but now I'm kind of thinking there definitely is for me, because a friend was guiding me into a circle. There was more, not just me, and to the Pleiades, because she feels very resonant with that, and this other woman did too. And where I went immediately is I stepped onto this ground, and I immediately was in a tree, and it was like a city. It was like a city, like a wonderful, divine, sacred, galactic city, or whatever you want to say, cosmic city, inside a tree. And I posted yesterday a poem from that. I felt like it gave me information about what's happening with the, financial abundance situation on the planet right now.
Do you have it handy? That'd be interesting to hear that.
The poem?
Yeah.
If you want, I can read it.
Yeah. Let's read it. I mean, I think
I guess I can.
I can pull it up if you want to. Is it on your main page?
Do you want to read it?
I can read it. Is it on your main page? Your personal page?
It's on my main page. It's on my timeline. And it says Mother Earth Speaks. And it was the 23rd. So it's probably just a few posts down.
Let's see here. Oh, I see. 22nd. Here's Mother Earth Speaks. Okay.
What are the first words? What are the first words you see?
No more worrying.
Exactly.
No.
That's
so
it.
This came. And we're going to read it because most likely there's some synchronicity, no coincidences between this Pleiadian thing. You're in a circle with some sisters, and one of them is basically pulling up the energy of the Pleiades, and this is where you went with it. And you felt like possibly that these 7s that are popping up are tied to the 7 sisters. This is how we find stuff out in real time. It's all spontaneous, right? So this is it here. Mother Earth speaks. All right. No more warring over the precious abundance of my realms. No more squabbling over the precious jewels and metals sleeping within my sacred body. Dreams from another world. No more killing, lying, stealing over the beauty, wonder, and magic and twisting it into pain. No more controlling me. I am Mother Earth. You are all my children, and none of you owns me. None of you controls me. Control yourself. Never again will I be named the world's maid, slave, prostitute. My core is reborn. You must become new again too. Dig deep. We start again. We begin in the core. I give to each of my children what they need in their soul, what they desire with a pure, open heart, a free, unchained body. It was always my desire and intention to do this ever since I opened my core and bore these realms so long ago. And now the communion with me that a few sought to rob the many from having have been robbed themselves, robbed of their precious metals and jewels, robbed of their wars. Join me in a circle where all are equal, and you will receive everything, for that is who I am. I am Mother Earth. I am abundance eternal. You are too. Fall in love with your inherent divinity from which your everything flows. Be that eternal abundance as you walk upon me, and it will flow beautifully between us. I have awoken. I have arisen. I have climbed in my fiery emerald gown through my mighty sacred tree. Now I sit upon the radiant rings in the spiral beside the stars. My guardians stand before me. My divine masculines kneel before me. I bless their blazing, all embracing, the swords of true power, the swords of true love, blazing in their souls. Beside my guardians stand divine earthly wheelbarrows filled to the brim with golden, silvery rainbow gifts. They have carried my secret hidden things home to me. And to the mighty sacred tree, my divine masculines have stolen back from the banks the precious metals and jewels and universal energies of my land. They are now laid at the feet of the people, not in the few hands. And the people will not touch these inner shining parts of me, but the people, the many who do not hurt anything in the universe, they will freely use my golden, silvery rainbow gifts as they gather hand in circles upon me. Wow. I think that was meant to be read today. What do you think?
Yeah, you read it very beautifully.
Well, it was written very beautifully. It was very easy. But I think there's some synchronicity there. I think there's some of the comments being made on the last show, even on this show, with this more expansive galactic presence. And, we struggle with these words because they don't really fit. But do you have what you would consider specifically galactic communications or communion or visitations even?
Well, did you see Victoria Lilligent quests?
Yes.
Did you see? You saw them?
You mean the movies and the pictures?
Yeah, the pictures of the ships.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Pulsing plasma ships. Okay, so I watched them, and I usually, when I see these UFO things, I don't feel very touched. I just kind of watch them, and I'm not particularly excited or anything. I mean, it's great, but I don't feel anything. But when I watched hers, I totally felt something, and it was at night, late at night, and then I went to sleep. And when I woke up, there was this being inside me, and she started talking to me, and it was really very, very cosmic. And so I wrote down what she said, and I posted it on my timeline, and but I didn't share the conversation I had with her. But I would say that's yes to that question that you just asked me.
Yeah, I just thought coming from your perspective, it would be interesting because everybody, the universe communicates with each one of us in its own unique way, or our own unique way, maybe. But you with the colors and the vibrancy, the fluid vibrancy that you talk about and express, kind of is interesting because it doesn't really include, most of the people I talk to are tied to certain angelic presence, essences, galactic, but yours seems to be very earthy, yet it's cosmic at the same time. So I thought that'd be an interesting perspective to hear, and I thank you for sharing that and sharing everything else with us. I'd love to sit down with you again sometime, and maybe look at some of the stuff that you do. And we can put up images on this program. Maybe go through some of your paintings, and maybe have you read some of your stuff to us.
Yeah, I can show you my house.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
I mean, I have my paintings all over my wall. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I didn't know. I was just trying to
Right?
be, accommodating. You take
Yeah.
care. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for coming on and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. Look forward to doing another broadcast with you down the road.
Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you for everything, and thank you for bringing this to the world. All that you do all the time.
You're very welcome. And thank you again. Thank you all. We'll see you again in a couple hours. Take care. Thank you, Aja.
Bye.
Bye-bye.